got so motherfucking design on right now. Bring it down, make it clap. I got 3 old thoughts on the block.
Imagine Northern California,
Oh, yeah?
late 1960s, summer of love's fading, and this chill is settling over the Golden State.
Uh-huh.
The Zodiac Killer.
Yeah.
Even the name.
Right.
It just conjures up these images of, like, fear and mystery.
Absolutely.
And today we're doing a deep dive into one of America's most infamous unsolved cases.
Wow.
You and I are going to unpack the original crimes, the twists and turns of the investigation, explore why this case still fascinates us decades later.
It's a case that truly captures the imagination, isn't it? I think it's because it's not just about the killings themselves, but the cat and mouse game.
Oh, yeah.
The Zodiac played with law enforcement and the public.
Yeah.
It's a puzzle with so many missing pieces.
Oh, for sure.
And it feels like every time we think we're getting close to the answer, another layer of complexity just emerges.
So let's start at the very beginning.
Okay.
December 20th, 1968.
Mm-hmm.
Young couple.
Yeah.
Betty Lou Jensen and David Faraday. They're parked on this lover's lane near Vallejo, California.
Okay.
It was a scene that would become tragically familiar throughout the investigation.
Lake Herman Road.
Yeah.
This initial crime really sets the stage for what we initially perceive as the Zodiac's modus operandi, or MO, seemingly random shootings in secluded locations.
Right.
But what's truly chilling
is
how quickly his methods escalated.
Let's fast forward September 1969.
Right.
Lake Berryessa.
Mm-hmm.
This time it's not a shooting, but a brutal stabbing.
Yeah.
And the details, well, they point to something much more sinister than just a simple murder.
That's right.
Right.
The brutality of the Lake Berryessa attack suggests this significant shift in the killer's psychology and motives.
Mm-hmm.
This wasn't just about taking a life.
Yeah.
It felt personal, like a statement.
Totally.
It's a hallmark of organized serial killers.
Oh, really?
The desire to not only kill, but to dominate and control their victims.
Right.
To make a lasting impact that extends beyond the act itself.
And the Zodiac,
Yeah.
he definitely knew how to make an impact.
Oh, yeah.
This is where his communication really comes into play.
Yeah.
He didn't just disappear after the attacks.
Right.
He taunted newspapers with letters, often filled with these cryptic ciphers.
Wow.
It's like he wanted the attention.
The ciphers are fascinating.
Yeah.
Some experts see them as a power play.
Okay.
A way for the Zodiac to demonstrate his intelligence and outsmart the authorities.
Outsmarting everyone.
Remember one of those ciphers?
Yeah.
The infamous 340-character one? Remained unsolved for over 50 years.
It's crazy.
It was finally cracked not by the FBI, but by a team of private citizens in 2020.
Wow.
It really makes you think about the limitations of law enforcement at the time.
Yeah.
And how the Zodiac may have exploited them.
So we've got a killer escalating in violence, taunting authorities, obsessed with ciphers. This must have led to a huge list of suspects.
Of course, and one name always seems to rise to the top.
Okay.
Arthur Lee Allen.
Okay.
Convicted child molester.
Right.
He matched a police sketch. Was obsessed with ciphers.
Okay.
And even had people claiming he'd confessed to being the Zodiac.
Wow.
Sounds like a slam dunk, right?
You'd think so.
Yeah.
But he was never officially charged.
Why?
Why not?
Well,
it seems like there was a lot pointing to him.
That's the thing about this case.
Yeah.
It's never straightforward.
Oh, really?
While Allen was a primary suspect for years,
the
physical evidence just wasn't conclusive. Fingerprints didn't match.
Right.
And DNA technology was in its infancy back then.
Right.
And even with the alleged confessions, there was always something that felt off.
So even with all that circumstantial evidence, it wasn't enough to convict.
Right.
It's almost as if the Zodiac was almost designed to disappear into the fog of the late 60s. No DNA databases.
Limited forensic tools.
Exactly.
It seems like the perfect scenario for someone like this.
You've hit on a crucial point.
Yeah.
The lack of advanced forensic techniques in the Zodiac era played right into his hands.
Yeah.
Imagine, he could vanish without a trace, leaving behind only cryptic clues and taunting letters.
Wow.
It was a perfect storm for him, in a chilling sort of way.
And speaking of a perfect storm,
Yeah.
let's talk about the media.
Okay.
They almost became an unwitting accomplice to his terror, didn't they?
In a way.
Sending letters to multiple newspapers,
Right.
even threatening school children.
Wow.
He knew how to grab the headlines and keep the public in a constant state of fear.
The media's role in the Zodiac case is complex and often debated.
Yeah.
On one hand,
Right.
they were simply reporting on a terrifying and evolving story.
Yeah.
But on the other,
Uh-huh.
the widespread coverage arguably amplified the Zodiac's message,
Totally.
feeding his desire for notoriety and control. It raises some fascinating questions about the responsibility of the press in cases like this.
And it's not just the 60s anymore.
No.
We're still talking about him, aren't we?
Right.
Books, movies,
Yeah.
podcasts.
Hmm.
He's transcended true crime and become almost a pop culture icon.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Look at Robert Graysmith's book Zodiac
Right?
and the film adaptation by David Fincher.
Yes.
These works,
Yeah.
while not documentaries,
Right.
have deeply shaped public perception of the case.
Yeah.
They've added to the mystery and intrigue,
For sure.
keeping the Zodiac's legacy alive, for better or worse.
It's like he's reached out from the past
Yeah.
and grabbed hold of our imagination.
Yeah.
This case,
Mhm.
it really stays with you.
It does.
But why? What is it about the Zodiac that continues to captivate us after all this time?
It's a question that has haunted investigators and armchair detectives for decades. I think it's the combination of factors we've been discussing.
Yeah.
The unsolved mystery, of course.
The chilling ciphers.
Right.
The psychological manipulation.
Yeah.
And the way he seemed to vanish into thin air.
Right.
He's become a sort of enigmatic puzzle that
Yeah.
we can't help but try to solve.
He really is.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest pieces of that puzzle is why he stopped.
Right.
Was he arrested for another crime? Did he die? Did he just get bored with his deadly game?
Theories abound, of course.
Yeah.
Some suggest he might have been imprisoned for other offenses, his true identity masked within the prison system.
Interesting.
Others propose he might have died,
Right.
taking his secrets to the grave.
Wow.
It's a mystery wrapped in an enigma,
Yeah.
and that's part of what makes it so enduring.
We've talked about the limitations of forensic science back in the Zodiac's era,
Mm-hmm.
but what about now? With all the advancements in DNA analysis,
Right.
especially genetic genealogy,
Yeah,
is there still hope that we might finally identify him?
there's always hope.
Remember, the Golden State Killer case was cracked after decades using genetic genealogy.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Investigators are actively working on the Zodiac case,
Uh-huh.
and they've been able to extract some DNA samples from evidence.
Okay.
The challenge is that these samples are often degraded or contaminated,
Right.
making analysis extremely difficult.
I see.
But new techniques are emerging all the time,
Yeah.
and it's possible that one day we might get a definitive answer.
But let's say we do get a name.
Okay.
Let's say we finally unmask the Zodiac.
Right.
Does that really solve the mystery?
That's the great question.
Yeah.
And I don't think it does.
Really?
Even if we identify the individual,
Right.
we may never fully understand the why.
Oh, wow.
What drove them to commit these horrific acts?
Uh-huh.
What was going on in their mind?
Yeah.
Is it a lust for power?
Right.
A twisted sense of justice?
Yeah.
A deep-seated psychological disturbance?
I see.
Identifying the killer might give us a name and a face, but it doesn't necessarily provide the closure or understanding we seek.
It's almost like trying to impose logic on something fundamentally illogical.
Right.
And that's what I find so terrifying about the Zodiac case. This idea that someone could commit these crimes,
Right.
taunt the authorities,
Yeah.
and then simply vanish,
Right.
leaving a trail of unanswered questions and shattered lives in their wake.
Wow.
It's a stark reminder of the darkness that can exist within seemingly ordinary individuals.
You're right.
Yeah,
And we must never forget the human cost of this case.
of course.
The victims,
Right.
their families,
Oh.
their friends.
Uh-huh.
They'd had to live with the pain and uncertainty for decades.
Awful.
Behind the headlines and the mystery,
Yeah.
there are real people whose lives were forever altered by these events.
It's easy to get caught up in the puzzle,
Yeah.
the thrill of the chase,
Right.
but we can't lose sight of the fact that these were real people,
Uh-huh.
not just characters in a story.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to be mindful of how we engage with true crime stories like this.
Okay.
We need to approach them with sensitivity and respect for the victims,
Right.
avoiding sensationalizing the violence or
Yeah.
glorifying the perpetrator.
Yeah,
The focus should always be on seeking justice and understanding,
of course.
not just entertainment.
Speaking of engagement,
Mm-hmm.
I've been thinking about the lasting fascination with the Zodiac.
Yeah.
We're here devoting an entire episode to him.
Right.
Why do you think this case continues to grip us, even after all this time?
I think it's a combination of factors.
Okay.
There's the obvious draw of the unsolved mystery.
Of course.
We're naturally curious beings,
Right?
and unanswered questions have a way of nagging in our minds.
Yeah.
We crave resolution,
Mm-hmm.
and the Zodiac, with his cryptic messages and sudden disappearance,
Yeah.
leaves us with a profound sense of incompleteness.
But it's more than just curiosity, isn't it? There's something almost primal about our fascination with figures like the Zodiac.
I think it taps into a deep-seated fear.
Okay.
The fear of the unknown,
Uh-huh.
of the unseen predator lurking in the shadows.
Right.
The Zodiac, with his mask and his chilling symbol,
Oh, yeah.
embodies that fear in a very tangible way.
For sure.
He represents the randomness of violence,
Yeah.
the idea that danger can lurk anywhere,
Right.
even in seemingly safe and familiar places.
And that fear resonates even more today
Absolutely.
in a world that often feels increasingly chaotic and unpredictable.
I think the Zodiac case serves as a reminder that despite all our advancements,
Yeah.
despite our efforts to create order and control,
Mm-hmm.
there will always be forces beyond our comprehension,
Right.
events that defy logic and explanation.
It's a chilling thought, but a necessary one.
It is.
And it leads me to wonder if, in a way, we've become complicit in perpetuating the Zodiac's myth. We consume books and movies about him.
Yeah.
We debate theories endlessly online. We even dedicate podcast episodes to him.
That's a valid point.
Yeah.
And it's something we need to be mindful of as we engage with true crime.
Uh-huh.
There's a fine line between exploring a historical event and inadvertently glorifying the perpetrator.
Right.
We need to be aware of that line
Of course.
and ensure that our focus remains on the victims,
Right.
their stories,
Yeah.
and the pursuit of justice.
I agree.
Yeah.
It's all too easy to get caught up in the mystery and lose sight of the human impact.
Right.
But perhaps by continuing to examine this case,
Yeah.
by refusing to let it fade into obscurity, we can honor the victims and keep the pressure on to find answers no matter how long it takes.
Absolutely.
It's a delicate balance, right? Honoring the victims while acknowledging the, the power of this mystery.
It really is. And I think that's what makes the Zodiac case so unique.
Yeah.
It's this chilling reminder of our vulnerability,
Right.
of the fact that evil can exist in these seemingly ordinary forms, and that sometimes, even with all of our resources and advancements,
Yeah.
some questions remain unanswered.
It's like he wanted it that way, don't you think? To remain an enigma.
Yeah.
Ghost story whispered across generations.
You know, it's interesting you say that,
Yeah.
because one theory that has always fascinated me
Okay.
is that the killings themselves might not have been the ultimate goal for the Zodiac.
Really?
Perhaps the real objective was the game he played,
Okay.
the puzzle he created, the manipulation, the terror,
Yeah.
the enduring mystery.
Right.
Maybe that was the true prize for him.
So it wasn't just about taking lives, but about leaving behind this legacy of fear and confusion, a puzzle that we're still trying to solve.
Right, yeah.
Even now.
Think about it.
Okay.
The Zodiac was obsessed with ciphers,
Right.
with outsmarting the authorities,
Yeah.
with proving his intellectual superiority.
Uh-huh.
What if the killings were just a means to an end,
Okay.
a way to draw attention to his elaborate game? What if the real goal was to create a mystery that would outlive him,
Right.
a puzzle that would continue to haunt us long after he was gone?
It's a disturbing thought, but it fits with everything we know about him.
Yeah,
The Zodiac wasn't content with just being a killer.
right.
He wanted to be a legend,
Yeah,
a boogeyman whose shadow would stretch across time.
and in a way,
Yeah.
he succeeded, even if we never definitively identify him.
Right.
His name,
Yeah.
his symbol,
Huh?
the very idea of the Zodiac, it evokes instant recognition,
Oh, yeah.
fear,
Yeah.
and fascination. He's become a cultural touchstone for our anxieties about the unknown,
Right.
a reminder that some doors may never be fully opened.
So to our listener,
Yep.
we leave you with this chilling thought.
Okay.
What if the Zodiac Killer was more than just a murderer?
Right.
What if he was, as you said, a master manipulator who crafted a puzzle so intricate, so perplexing, that it would continue to captivate and torment us for decades to come?
As you delve deeper into this case,
Yeah.
examine the evidence.
The theories, the unanswered questions.
Numbers.
Consider this.
Okay.
If you were tasked with unmasking the Zodiac,
Yeah.
where would you start?
Wow.
What path would you take? to navigate this labyrinth of mystery.
Because the truth is out there somewhere.
Yeah.
It may be buried beneath layers of time and speculation,
Right.
but it's waiting to be discovered.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe, just maybe, with enough curiosity, with enough persistence, one of us might be the one to finally bring it to light.
Until then,
Yeah.
the mystery endures.
This has been The Deep Dive. We'll be back next week with another deep dive into a new and fascinating topic.
Sounds good.
Until then, stay curious.